bone marrow is one of the main primary lymphoid organ. What are phagocytes? They are the cells which are capable of engulfing the pathogens. Mucosa-associated lymphoid tissues are present in the respiratory tract, in the digestive tract and the urogenital tract. So passive immunization, if a person is infected with some deadly microbes to which the quick immune response is required in nature. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to today's session on Chapter 8 of 2nd PUC, that is Human Health and Diseases. I am Dr. Divya, Biology Faculty, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Mysuru, Temple of Excellence. So in the previous session of this chapter, we had discussed about immunity, wherein we studied about innate immunity, which is acquired during childbirth, and we also studied about acquired immunity, which the person acquires whenever he gets a particular disease. And we also studied about the structure of the antibody. In today's session, let us study about the immune system, which is a very interesting topic. So to begin with, before moving on to study about the immune system, let us understand what vaccination and immunization is and why is it very important. So the principle of immunization or vaccination is based on the property of memory of the immune system. So this word memory, if you remember, in the previous session also we had studied about the memory of cells, right? Whenever one round of infection occurs to a particular person, the immune cells will be produced to fight against that particular disease. So next time when the person incurs the same disease, then the same memory will be stored in the immune cells and the immune cells will get activated to fight against that particular disease. So therefore, the immunity of a person's body, be it the immunity developed because of giving immunization or because of providing vaccination, depends on the principle of the memory that is there in the immune system. So the best example that we can take of is the coronavirus, wherein we have certain vaccines that have been developed for coronavirus, right? So these vaccines actually they contain the dead or inactive particles of the virus or the virus as a whole, which is not capable of infection. But since it is given into a body and since it is a foreign body, here what happens here is our immune cells gets triggered and it will start to produce antibodies against those content that is there in the vaccine. So that is how vaccination actually helps. And that memory will be stored in the immune cells. So when next a same person gets, the vaccinated person gets coronavirus, then automatically the immune cells in the body gets activated and it will start producing particular antibodies for that particular coronavirus. So that is how the memory is stored in the cells. So in vaccination, a preparation of antigenic proteins of pathogens. So what exactly the vaccination contains? So in vaccination, usually they use either the proteins or the smaller particles of the particular virus or bacteria, whatever it is there. So they use antigenic proteins of the pathogen, or either they can use the whole pathogen itself, wherein they would have inactivated or they would have weakened the pathogen. So that is nothing but the vaccine. So for you to easily understand, the best example that we can take of again is the Covishield vaccine that has been designed for coronavirus. So in Covishield vaccine or in the Covaxin, what they would have done is either they would have taken the whole virus as such, but that virus is not capable of causing infection. The virus is there, but it is in the inactive form. Or they would have taken the protein from the particular virus and then they'll inject it into the human body. So that is how vaccinations are developed and given. And the antibodies for that particular vaccine, or which is containing either the protein of that particular pathogen or the pathogen which is in the inactive form as such as a whole, for that the particular antibodies will get produced. Against what? Against the antigens. What are those antigens? Antigens are nothing but the vaccines, right? It is a vaccine because it is coming from outside. So therefore, a particular antibody will get produced against the vaccine, and therefore this will neutralize the pathogenic agent whenever that pathogenic agent actually causes the infection. So that is how the vaccination or the immunization procedure works. And the vaccine also, I told you in the first slide, we had learned that vaccine principle behind vaccination and immunization is mainly based on the memory of the cells. So here the vaccines also generate memory. That is, they generate memory in the B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes, or the B and T cells, which recognize the pathogen quickly. So what happens here? When next time the person gets infected again with the same pathogen, the B and T lymphocytes, which have memorized that particular pathogen, they will start to produce the antibodies against that particular pathogen, therefore curbing the infection rate in that particular person or curbing down the symptoms in that particular person. So that is how vaccination and immunization works. Now let's study about there is two types, that is passive immunization and active immunization. So passive immunization, if a person is infected with some deadly microbes to which the quick immune response is required in nature. We will take the example of tetanus. So tetanus is one such vaccine. It is caused by a pathogen, that is tetanus. So this tetanus, it is very deadly. It is a disease usually cause death of a person if left untreated. So it is better to prevent the disease. So what can be done is, so if a person is infected with this particular tetanus, then the immune system will have to work very quickly to bring down that or to eradicate that particular tetanus causing bacteria or the pathogen. So here what will be done is, here directly the antibody should be injected or an antitoxin should be injected. Why? Because what might happen here is, if you wait for the immune cells to get triggered and then the immune cells to recognize what type of pathogen it is, until it recognizes it is the pathogen that is causing tetanus, and until it produces the immune cells or the antibodies that will fight against that particular tetanus, the person would have been half dead by that time. So that is why, to prevent such conditions, there are certain diseases in which once the disease attacks the body, very soon, within a second or so, the immune system should start to get triggered and start producing the immune cells, which is not possible. So at that time, what will be done is, usually an injection will be provided to a person prior itself. We have the TT injection, right, that is taken. So TT injection, it is for either 6 months or 1 year injection, wherein you'll have to get a booster dose every 6 months once or 1 year once. So depending on what type of TT injection you're taking. So that is why TT is given whenever you go for a surgery or when you have a small cut or wound. You're playing with a knife or something, you have a small cut or wound. Can't say that knife might be rusted. A small bit of rust also can lead to tetanus. So that is why TT injections are given. So what is there in the TT injection? In the TT injection, directly antibodies itself are there. So when the injection is given, there is no need for the body to produce antibodies, because in that injection itself antibodies will be there, or the injection will have antitoxin. That is, antitoxin means that is capable of fighting against the toxin that is produced by the pathogen that is causing tetanus. So antitoxin or antibody will be present. That is how the injection is given. So very soon, within a second itself, tetanus injection will start to become active and it will start to deliver the antibodies in the body. Even the case of snake bites also. So in the case of snake bites, the injection which is given to the patient, it will usually contain antibodies. Directly, this also will contain antibodies against the snake venom. Now here, can all the antibodies be used? No. The antibodies will be designed in such a way, and it is particular, very particular for a particular snake venom itself. So that particular antibody will be given. Why? Because Say for example, now our body has to produce immune cells. By the time our body recognizes what type of venom it is, how much amount of immune cells has to be produced, by the time all that is over, the venom or the poison would have spread to the entire body, completely arresting the organs of that particular person, right? So in order to prevent that, what they do is immediately they directly give injection to that person which is containing antibodies that are already designed for that particular snake bite venom. So that is why whenever a snake bites, it is always important to look into what type of snake has bit that particular person. Otherwise, at least take a photo of that particular snake so that the doctor will understand which type of snake that is and which type of toxin is produced. Therefore, for that particular injection can be given. So, that should always be kept in mind. So, this type of immunization is called as passive immunization. So, what did we understand from this? We understood that passive immunization is nothing but directly the vaccines are given which contains antibodies. So, therefore, those antibodies very soon it will spread in the body and it will start fighting against the infection. So, that is passive immunization. Next, moving on to talking about allergies. So, allergies, what is an allergy? So, allergy is the exaggerated response of the immune system. Say, for example, a person who is quite allergic to many things, say, for example, the pollen grains that are produced by the flowers. He is allergic to that particular pollen grains. So, whenever he visits a garden or something, he will start to sneeze continuously. That is also a kind of immunity itself. Why is he sneezing? He is sneezing because so that if any pollen grain has entered into his nose, it should come out with the sneeze. So, that is why he will sneeze. So, that is why they say never control your sneeze. Whenever a sneeze comes, properly sneeze it off. Why? Because so that whatever impurities have entered into your body or whatever allergens have entered into your body, that has to come out through the sneeze. So that is why sneezing is one of the best immune response that is there in the body. Allergies actually, it exaggerate the response of the immune system to certain antigens that are present in the environment, and that is called as allergy. An allergy can be caused to human beings because of certain chemicals like histamine and serotonin from the mast cells. So, that is why whenever you have allergy, right, they give you the best example is cetirizine. Cetirizine is an antihistamine tablet which will block the production of histamine. Therefore, your allergy can be reduced. So, people who have allergy usually will have a running nose, will have sneezing, will have watery eyes and all that. So, to prevent that, because if you have all that throughout the day, then it is very difficult to carry out your daily activities. So, that is when they give antihistamine allergy medications and all that. So, why? Because of the production of histamine and serotonin, which is a body's response against the allergen. To curb that, actually, to reduce the symptoms of allergy, those such tablets are given. So, there are various symptoms of allergy like sneezing, watery eyes, running nose and difficulty in breathing. And the treatment for allergy includes the use of drugs such as antihistamines, adrenaline, steroids, which will actually reduce the symptoms of allergy. Allergy can never be cured. The only thing that you can do is you need to stay away from the allergy, or you need to take some allergy medications to reduce the symptom. But allergy cannot be cured. So, allergy, watery eyes is also good. Though it is a symptom, what happens here is, say, as I told you, some of them might have allergic to dust. So, whatever dust enters into your eyes and all that, if your eyes start watering, or when you get an allergy because of allergen, when the allergy is triggered, your eyes will start water. So, the dust and all that will come out through the water. So, that is a kind of immune response the body gives. But what happens here is, all that symptoms will actually, it will hinder our daily activities, right? It will make us exhausted, it will make us feel sick. So, that is when you can go in for antihistamines and certain allergen tablets. So the substances to which immune response are produced are called as allergens. So allergens are the ones that causes allergies. What are the different types of allergens? Dust, we have certain chemicals, then there are certain pollen grains, all these are the different allergens. So whenever the allergy gets triggered in the human body, the immune system produces some antibodies for that particular allergen, and that antibody is called as immunoglobulin E antibody. We had studied, right, in the previous session, there are different types of antibodies that are present, IgA, IgE, so on. So IgE is one type of antibody that is specifically produced when the body has a particular allergy. So examples of allergens are mites in the dust, then pollens. So mites are nothing but small worm-like, not worm-like exactly, like how lice are there in the head, right? Just like that, these mites will be present in the dust. So mites in the dust, pollens, the dander of animals. So animals usually to clean themselves, they'll start to, what is that? Shake their coat, right? So when they are doing that, the dander that is there, the dry skin or the dust particles that is there in them, and the fur will all fly here and there. That can also cause allergy to some people. So there are different, so dust, animal dander, then pollen grains. So there are different types of allergens that are present, and that triggers the allergy in the human body. And that allergy, when it occurs, it will trigger the production of antibody IgE. So next, moving on to autoimmunity. Autoimmunity means self. So like we studied earlier, passive immunity. Passive immunity is not produced by the body, but instead vaccines are taken. Those vaccines will actually help the cells to memorize, so that therefore later on when the infection occurs, for that particular antibodies get produced. But in autoimmunity, here the cells itself starts to produce the immunity. How we shall look into. So it is a memory-based acquired immunity evolved in higher vertebrates based on the ability to differentiate foreign organisms. Say for example, the pathogens. So there are a lot of cells in a body. So to those cells will the antibodies get produced? No. Why? Because those cells belong to our body, so that is why. But when the cells enter from external source, when I say cells that are entering into a body from external source, means the bacterial cells, the viral cells or the fungal cells, when all those enter into a body, the memory of the cells will be in such a way that it will be capable of recognizing those cells which are entering from outside as foreign bodies or antigens. So for that particular antigens, the antibodies will get triggered in the body. So that is nothing but autoimmunity. So what is the basis of autoimmunity? Let us look into. So higher vertebrates. So how does this autoimmunity actually work? So autoimmunity is usually found in higher vertebrates. One of the best examples is we human beings. So in higher vertebrates, the higher vertebrates are capable of differentiating between foreign molecules as well as foreign organisms. And due to the genetic and other unknown reasons, the body attacks the self cells, and this can result in damage to the body, and it is called as autoimmune disease. So sometimes what happens, one of the best example for autoimmune disease is rheumatoid arthritis. So usually what happens in higher vertebrates, the immune cells are capable of distinguishing between the foreign molecules and the foreign organisms. So they'll know which is our cell, which are the cells that have come from outside, which are the foreign organism, which are the foreign molecules. And for that particular immune cells or antibodies will be produced. So that is one way how it actually works, how the autoimmunity works. But autoimmunity can also lead to a disease called as rheumatoid arthritis. So what happens in such condition is, it is a genetic disorder wherein the immune cells will start to produce antibodies against the own cells that are present inside the body. So what it will think is, those cells are the foreign body, and it will start going and attacking it. That is when the autoimmune disease will start in a particular infected person or affected person, and one of the best examples for autoimmune disease is the rheumatoid arthritis. So next, let's study about the immune system in the body. So where and all the immune system are there in the body, how it gets triggered and all that. So the human immune system consists of lymphoid organs, it consists of tissues, cells, and also soluble molecules like antibodies. So each of these we shall study later on. So immune system is quite unique. Why? Because it is capable of recognizing the foreign antigens and accordingly responding to those foreign antigens by producing particular antibodies against them. So that is why our human immune system or the immune system is quite unique in nature. And the immune system also plays a very important role in the case of allergic reactions, during autoimmune disease, and also during organ transplantation. So autoimmune disease and allergic reactions we have already learned in the previous slides, right? So organ transplantation, as I told you. So organ transplantation, what happens in the previous session, we had learned that when a person receives a organ from a donor, that person's body will start to think that it is a foreign body and it will start to attack that organ. So that is the time when the immune cells have to be brought down using certain immunosuppressants. So that is how during organ transplantation also immune system plays a role there. So let's study about the different immune systems in the body. So the first one being the lymphoid organs. So lymphoid organs are usually present throughout the body, and there are different types of lymphoid organs such as the primary lymphoid organ and the secondary lymphoid organ. So let us study about them. So these are the organs where the origin or maturation and proliferation of lymphocytes occur. So proliferation means increasing number. What are lymphocytes? Those cells which produce the immune cells are the lymphocytes, right? So throughout a body there are lymph nodes that are present. Those lymph nodes produce the lymphocytes, and these lymphocytes are the ones which are capable of originating in that particular region, maturing in that particular region, and increasing in number or proliferating in that particular region. So that is how it is divided into two types: primary lymphatic organs and the secondary lymphatic organs. So the primary lymphoid organs, they consist of bone marrow and the thymus, where immature lymphocytes are produced. Those immature lymphocytes will differentiate and they will form antigen sensitive lymphocytes, meaning they will form lymphocytes which are very sensitive to antigen, therefore capable of recognizing those antigens. So what are antigens? They are the foreign bodies, capable of recognizing those antigens and attacking them and protecting the body against diseases. So where are such primary lymphocytes present? They are present in the bone marrow and the thymus. So therefore they are formed the primary lymphoid organs. And after maturation, these lymphocytes, they migrate from the primary lymphoid organs, that is from the bone marrow and from the thymus, they will migrate to secondary lymphoid organs like the spleen, the lymph nodes, the tonsils, the Peyer's patches of the small intestine, and the appendix. To there and all it will migrate. So usually where the production of lymphocytes starts, it starts in the primary lymphoid organ, that is the thymus and then the bone marrow. So there in the bone marrow and the thymus, they will start to produce, because bone marrow contains a lot of red blood cells. There it will start, these primary lymphocytes will start to get produced. These primary lymphocytes, once they mature and differentiate, from these organs, they will move to the secondary lymphoid organs, such as the lymph nodes which are present in the neck region, lymph nodes which are present in the armpit region. They will move to the spleen, to the Peyer's patches that are present in the intestine, and to the lymph nodes that are present in the groin region. So to all these regions, they will move themselves, so that Whenever any infection or something occurs, they get activated and they can start to attack that particular pathogen and reduce the infection. So that is how it works. So the secondary lymphoid organs, they actually are sites for interaction of lymphocytes with the antigen. So again I am repeating what happens. First, the lymphocytes gets produced in the primary lymphoid organs. These are called as the primary lymphocytes. What are the primary lymphoid organs? The thymus and the red bone marrow. So in there, the lymphocytes which are immature, the primary lymphocytes which are immature, they mature and they differentiate to form antigens. These antigens move into the secondary lymphoid organs and there they get stored. So whenever an infection occurs, these antigens will get triggered and they will start to proliferate or multiply and they will start to attack on those foreign pathogens, therefore protecting the cells and organs from diseases. So that is how actually the lymphoid organs help in providing immunity to the body. So let us study about the primary lymphoid organs in detail. So the first one being the bone marrow. So the bone marrow is the main primary lymphoid organ where all the blood cells including the lymphocytes are produced. That is the WBCs, the RBCs and the lymphocytes are mainly produced in the bone marrow. So therefore, the bone marrow is one of the main primary lymphoid organ. Second one is the thymus. So the thymus is a lobed organ. As you can see, it is a lobed organ because it is made up of two lobes. So the thymus is a lobed organ and this thymus is located near the heart. It is located near the heart and beneath the breastbone. If you can see here, it is located somewhere near the heart and near to the breastbone, right? So that is the location of the thymus. So the thymus is quite large at the time of birth, but it keeps on reducing in size with age. So this particular lymphoid organ, that is thymus, at the time of birth it is large in size, and as the person ages, the size of the thymus will reduce. It will keep reducing in size with age, and by the time the person reaches puberty, it will become very, very small in size. These organs, that is the primary lymphoid organs, which are those, the bone marrow and the thymus, both together provide very small environments for the development and for the maturation of T lymphocytes, meaning they are the organs wherein the development and maturation of the T lymphocytes are produced, because the T lymphocytes that are produced in the thymus are called as T cells and the lymphocytes that are produced in the bone marrow are called as the B cells. We have studied about all those. So next, talking about the spleen. So the spleen is a large bean-shaped organ. If you can see here, the shape of the spleen is like a bean seed. So therefore, it is large bean-shaped organ and it mainly consists of the lymphocytes and also it consists of phagocytes. So what are phagocytes? They are the cells which are capable of engulfing the pathogens. And these spleen, they act as filters for the body. So how do they act as filters? So usually what filters do, they beat a air conditioner or any air cooler or something, there will be filters present in that. What will those filters do? Any harmful dust particles or any harmful pathogens and all that is there in the air, that will get trapped in the filter, right? Just like that, here also the spleen acts like a filter, wherein it will filter the blood by trapping the microorganisms that are blood-borne, that are related to the blood. It will trap those microorganisms so that those microorganisms will not spread to other organs. So that is the function of the spleen. And spleen also has a large reservoir of erythrocytes. So erythrocytes are nothing but the RBCs. So what are there in the spleen? In the spleen, RBCs are there. In the spleen, lymphocytes are there. Phagocytes are there. And not just that, spleen acts as a filter wherein it helps in filtering the microorganisms that are there in the blood, because blood is one of the main carrier in the body, right? So the microorganisms should not spread to other organs of the body. So that is how the spleen actually helps in filtering. Next, talking about the lymph nodes. So the lymph nodes are small solid structures. So if you look at the lymph nodes, you can see they are very small round shaped structures, just like a balloon. So the lymph nodes are small solid structures and they are located at different points along the lymphatic system. So where all the lymphatic system is there? Lymphatic system is there in our neck, in our arm, and that is especially under the armpit area and in the groin area. So wherever the lymphatic system is there such small solid structures are present, which are called as the lymph nodes. And the lymph nodes, they have a particular function wherein they trap the microorganisms, or they also trap other antigens which happen to get into the lymph and the tissue fluid. So therefore, it will prevent the spread of microorganisms to other body parts by trapping the lymph nodes. So at that time, that is why the lymph nodes will swell. So the microorganisms will get trapped there, so that preventing it from spreading to other parts of the body. And the antigens that are trapped, what are antigens? They are also the foreign substances that are entering into a body, right? So the antigens trapped in the lymph nodes, they are responsible for the activation of the lymphocytes present there, and they cause the immune response. So what these lymph nodes will do? Say for example, we are having a cold. When we have a cold, which is the antigen that enters into our body? It is the influenza virus, right? So when that influenza virus enters into a body, what happens is that influenza virus should not spread anywhere to other parts, right? So that is the time what they do is the lymph nodes will swell. Why it will swell is because in that particular lymph node somewhere in the neck, it will trap those microorganisms. It will trap the influenza virus, and there it will start producing, it will start triggering the body to produce the immune cells for that particular influenza virus. So that is how it works. So therefore, if lymph node swelling occurs, it is majority of the time, it means that the body is trying to trigger the immune cells in a body. So that is the function of the lymph nodes. And there is lymphoid tissue that is present, which is also located within the lining of the tract, such as the respiratory tract, then the digestive tract and the urogenital tract. And these lymphatic tissues which are lining, which forms a covering of the respiratory tract, the digestive tract and the urogenital tract, they are called as the mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. They are called MALT, meaning mucosa associated lymphoid tissue, and it constitutes about 50% of the lymphoid tissue in the human body. So why there? So that it is capable of filtering the microorganisms. So that is why these mucosa associated lymphoid tissues are present in the respiratory tract, in the digestive tract and the urogenital tract. So this is about the lymphoid organ. So with this, the session comes to an end, wherein we have studied about the lymphatic system. That is, especially we studied about the immune system in a body, and the immune system is protected by the primary lymphatic organs or the lymphoid organs and the secondary lymphoid organs. And how do they work? We have understood. So in the next coming session, we shall discuss about one important disease, which is a syndrome, which is called as acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, that is AIDS. And we shall also discuss about how the replication of the retrovirus, that is the virus that is responsible for AIDS, how does it actually replicate. So we'll study the cycle of that particular virus. So we shall meet again in the coming session. Thank you.